two, and one. All right, so we are live on YouTube. Welcome back, everyone, for today's meeting, your Surprise Millionaire. Today's meeting is about feeling the energy vibrations. Okay, let's switch that off. That was my own voice. Okay, so today is all about meeting and feeling the energy and the vibrations of a millionaire. So you can literally feel it, you can literally take it from him, because the quality of your life depends on the quality of people that you're surrounded by. Is everyone ready to feel the vibrations of a man who made literally 500 crores? Everyone take your hands like this. Come on, take your hands like this. Say 500 crores in how much time? In 3 years. And that's not just it. Here are some more points, because I had to literally write. He's so successful, I had to literally write down some of these things. I usually don't write down. I remember everything, but there's so much to talk about him. He's personally coached more than 150,000 students to learn how to become digital millionaires, to take their life to the next level. He's literally had more than 2.9 million people read his books, attend his courses. And the best part, he's made more than 500 crores. Actually, he's done much more than that in the last more than 15 years. He's probably crossed on his website. If you go, it's more than $100 million. But just in the last 3 years, he's made more than 500 crores. And the best part, 2.1 million people are right now following him on social media officially. Just last month, if I'm not wrong, he's crossed more than 30 million views, just 30 million views in 1 month. This is the kind of personality we are meeting. And the weird part is, not only is he an Indian origin, but most people in India don't even know about him. And this is his first YouTube live and coming to our community, the IMK community. You're the special ones getting to meet him today first time, because you're part of our channel, because you're part of our courses on Zoom right now. So is everyone ready? Show me your hands, everyone. Okay, super. So let's meet your surprise millionaire. And the more I talk about him, it's always going to be less. So let me just simply bring him up. And that's going to be Mr. Anik Singhal. So everyone, please take your hands together. Let's give a big round of applause to Mr. Anik Singhal. Anik, if I may ask you to please. Here we go.
Wow. What a warm welcome. Thank you.
Show Anik how we welcome people. All of you unmute and say, we love you, Anik, and welcome to India. Here we go.
We love you, Anik.
Welcome to India.
Welcome to India.
Love you.
Favorite part of that, thank you everybody. My favorite part of that is the honking in the background that I hear. Nostalgic. It reminds me of India.
Roads and stuff like that. So firstly, thank you so much, Anik, for being part of our community. We call it the IMK community, Hindu Mitesh Khatri community. Thank you so much for coming and being with us and spreading your knowledge and wisdom to India. We really want to know how you made that 500 crores in 3 years. But first, thank you so much. Welcome to India and welcome to our community.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor. I'm excited. And, there's a whole story behind why I decided to come to India now. And it's a fascinating story. I've actually been to India already, and I was there. I was there way ahead of the time. And I'll explain that in the near future too. But I'm super excited. Thank you everyone for such a warm welcome. You're all too kind. Thank you.
Thank you. We're most welcome. Can I start with a very crazy question with you?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So how does it really feel to be at the top of 500 crores in 3 years? This is a crazy number. I know it's a cliche question. How does it feel? Does it feel like a Lamborghini under you or a Ferrari? I don't know.
Okay, so that's an interesting question. So first of all, I'll tell you one joke. The number I've done in the 3-year period. I want to be clear also, everyone. It's revenue. Profit neta. It's revenue, right? So that's important. But in US, I keep saying the number is 64.8 million US dollars, which is huge and amazing. But crore mein sun ke na, it just sounds next level. when I convert things to crores, it always just sounds like, oh wow, that's even more and even bigger. Honestly, Mitesh, it doesn't feel any different. I've been doing this for 20 years, right? So I've had lots of success. I think the one thing that I wasn't able to figure out was scaling. It's 15, 16, 17 actually years. I tried. And I just could not dial it in. I would hit like, in the US, I'd hit like $10 million a year. That's about 80 crores right now, a year. And I would just keep bouncing down from that. I could not pass it. So I feel very satisfied, I will tell you, because when we finally unlock scale, the other thing is, Mitesh, I don't know if, when you learn to drive a car, maybe that's a bad example. In India, driving a car is very difficult. But okay, let's talk about riding a bicycle, okay? So the first time a child looks at that bicycle, it is so daunting. It is so scary to think that you're going to balance on these two wheels and you're going to go forward. And usually you fall also, right? Then you start riding the bicycle. And years later, you look back and you think, why was I so scared of this? It's so simple. You get on and you pedal and things work out. So how I feel after having generated 500 crores of revenue in a 3-year window is a little silly. That it is actually very simple. And Joe, advice I'll give to people today, and I give to people, they think, that's it. So actually we overcomplicate things. And when we overcomplicate things, it becomes harder to scale our business. So I feel relieved, I feel fulfilled, I feel happy, I feel excited. But, do I live differently? No. I mean, I still drive the same cars because I was still doing very well, right? Before I was able to crack the nut to scaling, I had spent 15, 16 years doing very well. So, no, I still live the same life, but now also I feel, people wonder. So this is the last thing I'll say. Have you ever heard the story, right? There's a billionaire and they crash. Something happens, they lose it all. And somehow 4 years later, they're a billionaire again. It's like,
Yes.
how, I've spent my whole life trying to make a few million. This guy went billionaire, crashed, and billionaire again. That's the thing. We end up stretching that rubber band and changing its form. So now, when I start a new business, before to get the business to 70, 80, 90 crores a year was very daunting. It was a big challenge, a big task. Now that's my minimum. So if I start a new business, we get to 70, 80, 90 crores. We get there fast. So, yeah, it's changed my mindset a lot. But generally, I'm still the same person. I don't have a Lamborghini under my feet. So it's like I'm the same person.
I love the answer. Simple and silly. Everyone, please write down in the chat window, simple and silly. This is the best answer I've ever had from a man who's made 500 crores in 3 years. People would normally say, I feel humbled, or I feel spiritual, or I feel rich, or I feel abundant, or I feel financially free. But that's a new answer, simple and silly. And I love the example that it's actually true. Today, when I look back at riding a cycle, it does feel silly. And yet, the first time we tried, it must have felt impossible. So thank you. That was a great example. So that gives us all hope that we in India can also do 500 crores in 3 years, and it's going to be simple and silly one day. How many of you would love that? Type an I in the chat window for Anik over there. All right. So Anik, here's another question. Firstly, thank you. Thank you so much for making this big an amount simple and easy. Because believe me, that means so much to us. Because as you said, I think in our mind, we make it big and complicated. And if we can just start with simple and silly, wow, that's a beautiful new way of looking at that. So thank you for that wonderful reframe. Another question is, how did this all start for you? Like, were you always born rich, golden spoon kind of a person, or was it a humble beginning? Can we know a little backstory or your story about how did this all start?
Yeah, so actually, I was born in the U.S. So my parents moved here. I was born, and then actually I moved back at a very young age. We moved back to India. My grandmother, my dad's mom, was not well. He wanted to be with her, and then my dad was like, "So let's go back. We're back to India. Let's just live the rest of our lives there." So I was very little, kindergarten when we moved back, and then we used to live in Moga. We used to live in Punjab. So we were like living in the heart of Punjab, and there was a lot of issues that back then. There was a lot of issues between Hindus and Sikhs, and lots of fights going on. And during that time, that area I lived in, it got very hard. It got very unsafe. So we moved back here. So my dad is an engineer. I do not come from riches. I do not come from wealth. My grandfather, my mom's father, was an industrialist. He did a lot of factories and things in India. I did not know him well. So he died when I was very young. So I don't have a business background per se in my family. There's no one in my family that taught me this, handed me a business. So in US, but at a very young age, Mitesh, I knew one thing at a very young age. I was very hungry. I wanted success. I wanted to be well off. I had one rule in life. It's just one. I didn't care if I'm a billionaire or anything like that. I just wanted one rule. I don't want anything in my life that I want. I don't want the decision to be ruled over by money. Meaning, I don't ever want to say, I can't afford that. That was my rule. That is it.
Wow.
That would, to me, that would be success. And I looked around myself in the US. I looked around myself. I said, okay, who's got the most money, most respect, nicest cars, nicest houses? I'm a kid. I don't understand much more than that. It was doctors. Listen, come to America. 30% of the doctors here are Indian. This is what we do. Indians come to US, we become doctors. That's what every Indian does here. It's a very prestigious career. It's a good career. You make great money. And so I just decided to be a doctor. So I actually worked very hard in school, got into an amazing college program. My scholarship was paid for. I was done. I was going to probably go to Harvard Medical School. I was set. My parents were gleaming, happy, amazed, super excited. And Mitesh, within 2 weeks of being in school, I realized I'd made the biggest mistake of my life. I was miserable. Can you imagine now? I'm on this perfect journey. I'm literally being recruited to go to med school by Harvard already. I'm still an undergraduate. My parents are excited. I have full scholarship. And yet here I am saying, I don't like any of this. I don't want this in my life. Took through a lot of trouble. It took a couple of years, but I finally took the courage to speak to my parents, who are amazing, who supported my transition. Went to business school. Hated that also. I switched universities, lost the full scholarship, went through all of this change in life, during which there's a moment I can speak about, a very godly moment that helped me make that transition. And still I get to school now, I'm 2 weeks into business school, I'm like, I hate this also. I was so scared, I thought, oh my God, I'm gonna be a loser. I'm gonna drop out and be nothing. You know what it was? I finally did some self-reflection. I'm very good at self-reflection. And I discovered I was just tired of learning. I was hungry to do. I was like ready to go. Like, let's go. Come on, I want to do something. I don't want to just sit here and learn all day. And that was when I went to Google. Now, just so you understand how long ago I started, Google was new back then. Google was like 1 year old. Okay, so I went to Google, I typed in how to make money. And Google auto-filled online. It does that, right? It gives you suggestions. And I thought, okay, let's try that. Sure. And that started my journey. For 18 months, man, I found different places, forums. I made all these mistakes. I made no money. I came to a very angelic moment. I've had like 3 or 4 angelic moments in my life that truly I feel like God came down and stopped me from making a mistake or helped me do something. And I had one. And I almost quit, 24 hours from quitting. I had actually announced that I'm done. I'm trying so hard. I'm fighting so hard. Something happened, and God willing, I was able to make finally some money for the first time. And that was almost 20 years ago. And since that day, I've never looked back. And so grew the business, from literally no money. Of course, listen, I have amazing parents. I always had a roof over my head, food on my table. I didn't have that story where I was on the street or anything like that. But I didn't have any money. So I grew my business from zero funds, maybe even negative, because I spent $300 on my dad's credit card, which I shouldn't have. So I was kind of negative 300, and I grew it to where I am today using the revenue of the business. So no, I was not born with any riches in my mouth. I had a great family, amazing parents, but this is the most raw way of becoming an entrepreneur is what I did.
Wow, amazing. So if you started that humble, I think we all can. By the way, how many of you here have started that humble? Type an I in the chat window. If you can relate to Anik, that you started very small and you're somewhere today, but you'd love to be where Anik is today. And I think we all would love to. And one of the reasons I requested Anik to share his personal life with us is so that you all know that not every millionaire is born with a golden spoon or a silver spoon or whatever spoon you call it. I mean, if he can start this way and he thought he had hit rock bottom and he thought like nothing's going to work out, and then suddenly he discovers this one thing that helps him start making money, and he's here today. If he can do it, you can do it. Everyone, please type in the chat window, I can do it. And I don't want you to believe that you can just do some success. One of the reasons I'm inviting Anik over here is I want you to know that you can have his level of success. What do you say, Anik? Is that possible for anyone, or is it like a God gift only for a few people?
No, it's definitely possible. But I also want to be realistic, Thoda, right? Like, I did 500 crores in a 3-year window, but I was also already doing it for 17 years. So time lagta hai, you have to learn things properly, you have to build the right team. So I don't want people thinking, ki, chal, next year I'm going to make 50 crores, right? I'm just going to do it. So other than that, no, nothing. I don't have any special powers. Listen, Mitesh, my probably strongest power I have is that I refuse to give up. I just don't know how. It's not in my DNA. And I always jokingly say that if my ship is sinking, I am going to try to get that ship fixed until it is damn under the water. And even then, I'll keep trying, until my last breath. That's my perspective. So I tell people, listen, you cannot quit. Success is a statistical game. It is literally how long you can survive and exist. Eventually something hits, right? And so, no, I don't think I have any golden spoon in my mouth or any special talents or skills that are not learnable. I have some talents and skills, but I learned them.
Amazing. So how many of you are ready to continue having that kind of energy from Anik saying, I will not give up? Type in the chat window, I will not give up. In fact, from here onwards, anything that you're learning from him, imbibe it. And the best way you can do that is feel that energy, type it down in the chat window so that you can remember it all the time. Okay. Here's another next question for Anik, for all of you over here. Anik, what was that one biggest thing, at least in your life, that you discovered that helped you get onto this path of success in so many ways that you achieved today? But was it like 10 things or 2 things, or was that one big opportunity that you discovered saying, damn, this is what I'm going to master, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life, and that's what you discovered and made it big with? Is there something like that?
It's hard to say just one. You're right. There's 10. There's so many things, right? There is one skill, though, that I think has served me the most. So I'll speak to that skill in a minute. But I also want to touch on a few things that were important. So the right mentors. I cannot express to you the importance. Now, everyone in this room, they have you, they have Indu. You guys are already in amazing hands. So congrats to you. You're ahead of the race, right? I have had amazing mentors in my life. Now, let me tell you something about mentors that a lot of people don't understand. You don't necessarily have to have the same mentor for your whole life. I have crossed my mentors many times, meaning I have a mentor for one part or one thing, and then I have succeeded past that. And I become friends, and I'm still friends with them, but that doesn't mean that I'm not allowed to bring on another mentor at a different level. So I've had many mentors in my life, and they've changed my life. The number 2 thing I'm going to tell you is, anytime you can, simplify. I cannot express this enough. If you are designing a business and you're getting ready, can you explain that business in 2 sentences to someone who doesn't understand your industry? Can you draw it on a napkin? Can you explain it? Is it simple? Because actually those are the businesses that take off. Complex businesses, complex organisms are very difficult, and they stress you out, and they're very tough to run. And then my team, right? The biggest thing that helped me unlock scale, you yourself, you can do a lot. And I actually teach this. I have a presentation where I say, you can get to 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 crores. You're on your own back with a few people helping you. But you're going to hate life. It's going to be tiring, exhausting. You won't enjoy any of the money you're making. If you want a big scale, you want to actually build, you have to have the amazing team. You have to have an amazing team. And so we nurture teams a lot. But if you ask me that one thing, right? So 20 years ago, I don't know, when I was just getting started and I was struggling and I was still in college and I was sitting in my dorm room trying things. One thing I always hated, Mitesh, this is the only thing I was so bad at. This is the only thing in school that I got bad grades in, was writing. I'm not a good writer from a perspective of an English teacher, grammatically and all of these things. I'm not good at that. So my English teacher had said, she got so fed up of me because I used to go harass her so much for good grades. She said, please, anything you do, just don't write for a living, right? And I remember telling her, the only thing I'm writing for a living are prescriptions. So I don't care about this writing nonsense. I have nothing to do with it. And then all of a sudden, when I start my business career, I end up meeting someone who mentored me for quite some time, who said, you need to learn copywriting. And I laughed. I said, you're insane. I said, I'm not learning writing. I want nothing to do with writing. And I will tell you right now, for those who are listening in this conversation, you don't have to learn copywriting. But here's a hard truth I will tell you. If you want to be an entrepreneur, you need to learn the art of influence. You have to learn influence. Now, some people would call that sales. Some people will call it copywriting. Some people will call it business development. I don't care what it is. But you have to be able to inspire and influence, whether that be your team, whether that be your customers, whether that be your vendors, whether that be your business development deals. But if you can't market and sell and speak and convince someone and influence them, it's very difficult for you to build a business to begin with, and it's impossible to scale it. So that is a skill that I would say my biggest breakthrough was my mentors who took me from this very shy, quiet, introverted kid to someone who can stand right now. And I mean, I've spoken to audiences as big as 10, 20,000 people. 10,000 is, I think, my biggest audience so far. And I'm not scared at all. I love the opportunity to impact people. So influence, impact, if you can nail that and spend the first year or two of your life really understanding how to influence people, that'll be a big service for you in your personal life also. Hey, listen, even in personal lives, husband, wives, kids, parents, siblings, we need to influence them all. And so influence is the skill to learn.
Awesome. Everyone type in influence. If you master this one skill, you're on the right frequency with Anik over there. Anik, you spoke about 10,000 people. I have a very unique question for you. One of my mentors that I've really looked up to for many, many years is, and most of the community members here know us because they've kind of worked with me for quite some time now, is Anthony Robbins. Everyone type in Anthony Robbins in the chat window. I think all of you know him. And while everybody's just following Anthony Robbins, you're the one man I know, you've spoken in one of the events of Anthony Robbins, which is called as Business Mastery, one of his most expensive programs. Like his minimum program starts at $1,500, which is like the UPW program, goes up to Business Mastery and so many others. But Business Mastery is one of his epic programs. And you were invited over there as a speaker. I mean, for Tony Robbins to look up to you, to get him on his stage and to talk to his audience. How did that happen? Like a person, I mean, it's one thing for a humble person to start with nothing and make 500 crores, but then you meet a man who's made $5 billion like Anthony Robbins, and you speak on his stage and he respects you enough to call you on the stage and say, hey, teach my audience. How did that happen? How your association with him?
Yeah, it's a really funny story. So I was actually in India, believe it or not. So there's a whole backstory to me in India. I used to have an office in India, in Mumbai. I was getting ready to really build and be the leader of the digital marketing movement in India. And at that time, so I was in India. And it's actually how I met my wife. She's actually from Mumbai. I met her there. And I get this call from a mutual friend who many might know, Vishen Lakhani from Mind Valley. And so he calls me and says, I'm speaking at this event and they've asked for me to introduce you. Tony Robbins would like for you to speak at his event. And everything froze for me. This is many years ago. So this is probably some 15 years ago, right? So I was still young in my business career. So for me, that was like, wow, are you kidding me? But you have to be able to get here in the next few weeks. So for me, I had to change my entire life around. I had to change all my schedule calendar. And I rushed home. I got a new suit. I got a new watch. I got new shoes. I mean, I was so excited. And I made a new presentation. And I flew to Vegas. The event was in Vegas and Mandalay Bay. Yes, it was Mandalay Bay. And I got there. And man, you know what was so amazing, Mitesh, is at this same event, the speakers, Jim Collins, right? Brendan Burchard, before he was Brendan Burchard. So can you imagine, I'll tell you a funny story. I'm in the back green room coaching Brendan Burchard on his talk and teaching him how to take his business to the internet. I was giving him advice. This is before he was who he is today. Gets better. Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, he was just the wine guy. He was not Gary V the way we know him today. He was just the wine guy. And that was one of his initial speaking engagements. And so I have a simple rule. I don't eat when I'm speaking. I won't eat before I speak. There's a whole story behind that. We can get into it. It's a health thing, but I've had it since 20 years. So if I'm speaking, let's say I'm speaking at an event at 11 a.m., I'll have water. I may have one banana, and that's it. I'm going to wait till I'm done speaking, then I eat. So I requested the organizer. I said, please don't have me speak before. Please don't have me speak late. Let me speak early. They said, okay, we'll have you at 11. They said, Tony Robbins goes on stage by 8:30. You'll come on at 11. I said, okay, great. That's amazing. I get to follow Tony. Dream come true. Some other people find that out in the green room. And I'm telling you, the speakers in this event were the who's of who in the business world, the top authors. I mean, I was starstruck the whole time. And so I'm in the event and someone said, hey, when do you speak? I said, I'm speaking at 11. They said, today? I said, yeah. They're like, but Tony's on stage. I'm like, I know. And they just started laughing. I'm like, why are you laughing? They're like, I hate to tell you, but you're not speaking at 11 a.m. today. I'm like, no, they told me I'm speaking before lunch. I have to go because I don't eat. They're like, no chance. They're like, Tony doesn't ever, yeah, they're like, no chance. Tony never ends on time. Tony does whatever Tony wants to do. And I'm like, well, it is his stage, so he can do whatever. Do you know what time I spoke that day, Mitesh? Take a guess.
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock max.
9 p.m. 9
Whoa.
p.m. It was the most, that room was so energized, and they had been in the room for 13 hours before I even went on stage. I had never seen anything like it. So I thought there's no chance, no one's gonna care I'm there. No one's gonna pay attention. The room was packed, 700 people. They were excited. I have pictures from them standing on their tables, cheering me onto stage. And I probably gave one of the best talks of my life. I was actually voted best speaker at that event, which was one of the biggest honors because I was up against who today are the best speakers in the world. So it was a very, very defining moment of my life. I remember it very vividly. It was a big honor. But since then, you know, I've had very crazy moments in my life. For Robert Kiyosaki, I think we all know Robert Kiyosaki. First book I ever read that touched my life was Rich Dad Poor Dad in high school. Robert and I are friends now. He text messages me for advice. You know, Grant Cardone is someone who I run into all the time. And Les Brown, Bob Proctor, may rest in peace, was one of my mentors who I loved. And so I've had an honor in my life. It's really been a true honor to be able to work with some of the best on the planet. And to not only call them friends, mentors, but to be able to help them as well.
Wow. I actually saw on your website when I met about you for the first time that you've literally worked with Robert Kiyosaki. Damon, the Shark Tank guy, he was there on as a testimonial on your website.
Kevin Harrington? Yeah,
exactly.
Kevin Harrington, also Shark Tank.
Wow, that's crazy. Everyone type in crazy if you agree that's crazy. Like he's worked with them and helped them scale their business. Like imagine helping Robert Kiyosaki to scale his business. That's huge. And then I want to pop in one more name over here, if I may, with your permission. One of your good friends, who we know in the digital marketing world is one of the best, along with you. And when I came to know he's one of your really close friends, I was like, wow, who are you? Like, you know, all of these people like friends. You call them on the phone, you have them on your WhatsApp number. Russell Brunson. Like, yeah. Is it true? He's your good friend. Like, what's your association?
So Russell and I, we started online 1 month away from one another. And I always joke. So if you look at Russell Brunson's story, he talks about this, that his first product on the internet was how to make a potato gun. Literally a gun that shoots potatoes out of it. Now, it's a very funny thing. If you live in the US, you will know the area he's from, they make the best potatoes. So like, you know, so the fact that he made that potato gun is just hilarious. But I always jokingly say that I've known Russell Brunson since when he was shooting and making potato guns. I mean, this is before he was Russell Brunson. So he and I are very good friends. He recently sponsored one of our big events. I've had the honor of watching him become a juggernaut in the industry with what he's done. And I know him. I know how brilliant he is. I know how smart he is. And I know his kind heart. But yeah, like I could text him right now. And like most people in the industry, I can message. And that you know, if you tell me one of the things I'm most proud of in my career so far, as I've been in this for 20 years and I'm getting ready for my next 20, it's not the money I've made. It's not the millions of followers I have. It's genuinely the relationships I've built, because sometimes I'm in awe of my own contacts. I can solve pretty much any problem today with a text message to the right person. And that's awesome. Like that is something to really say that's something that gives you freedom.
Wow, amazing, amazing. Everyone, please type in congratulations. That's huge. And Anik, by the way, I want all of you to know that I'm personally learning with Anik. And all of you know that I very strongly believe in what he said the first time. It was about mentorship. I'm learning with him. He's got a mastermind where I'm learning from, and very few select people are invited there. And I was one of the privileged ones. Indu, Imran sir, we're all learning with him right now. And it's been an awesome experience just in the last 1.5 months. It's been amazing to just be associated with you and learn all these things from you, which like comes to us like a formula. As you said, success is statistics, right? It's like a formula. Now I don't have to do all the trial and error in my life because I have your formulas with me and it just helps me grow. So long story short, as a question to our audience, if you could tell us, right now, India is like at the beginning of what we call as the digital marketing business or the online business world. And yet a lot of people who are listening to you right now are scared because they think it's already saturated. There are so many people already online. What will I do online? Especially a lot of coaches, entrepreneurs online, they want to do something, but they feel it's already saturated. What's your point on, because you're a digital marketing entrepreneur, you're a millionaire in this field and you're coaching people to do that. What's your advice to our audience on that?
So I was in India, so I can tell you, I'll come to the advice, but let me tell everyone the story because you're talking about saturation. So I want to tell everybody this story. So I was 15 years ago, I came to India. I bought a company. I established myself. I had a house in Mumbai. I stayed. I used to come to India 6 to 7 times a year. That is a 24-hour flight each way. And I would do that trip every month. And I wanted to be there to establish, and that was the time, by the way, during those years, I became friends with Shah Rukh Khan. I have been to his home. Okay, so this is funny. Everyone in India will appreciate this story. Who here, give me a yes in the chat if you know the song Chamak Challo by Akon. It was in Ra 1. No, Chamak Challo.
Chamak Challo, yes.
Akon sang the song. It was in Ra 1. Right, everyone's typing in yes. Okay, when Akon, who's one of the biggest musicians in the world, was signing the paper with Shah Rukh Khan to do that song, I was in the room, sitting next to Shah Rukh in his house. Now, don't ask me how that happened. It is a very fluke of events that took place. And I actually helped do the Ra 1 marketing for Shah Rukh. I did a lot of the Ra 1 marketing. Actually, after that, I was supposed to sign a big contract with his publishing, with his production company. I actually chose not to. I was a little burned out on dealing with Bollywood. I didn't want to deal with Bollywood anymore. But I've been in Arjun Rampal's house, Sean's house, Sonu Nigam's house. I've met all these people. So during those times, I would come to India and I was really getting networked. By the way, I've also made a movie. I don't know if Mitesh, you even know about this. I made a movie in Mumbai, in Film City. I made a James Bond spoof, but it's pretty dang good. And I acted in it, I produced it. It's on IMDb. I used Film City. I used directors, action directors. We blew up a car. I mean, I lived my time in India. I've enjoyed myself fully. But in that time,
I'm going to stop you here. How many people want to make so much money one day that you make your own movie, you be your own character, you make your own director, like, I'm going to be the hero of my movie. I'm going to be the heroine of my movie. I don't care if the movie runs or not. I'm going to make my own movie. How many of you want to be that kind of a person one day?
Mitesh, the movie was a flop. It was so bad. Like, it was such a flop. And it didn't work to be a sales piece. It was supposed to be a sales video. Okay, if you watch it, I'm trying to sell a software. We did a big red carpet, big showing in US in Vegas, and it was awesome. And people talk about it till this day. And it's one of my favorite experiences I've ever had. There were actors, junior actors in that movie, in the Bollywood scene, that got their big breakthrough because of that. They actually got their big break because of being in my little movie. I was a page 3 actor. The media showed up, and one day someone calls me and said, "Open the Times of India newspaper this morning." I said, "What's going on?" They said, your face is next to Shah Rukh's. You've become a page 3 actor. How the hell did you do this so fast? I don't know what's going on. I made the worst movie on the planet, and I love it, right? It was a great experience. But when I was in India, I finally left because I could not get the concept of Indians using a credit card on the internet. I mean, you would tell people, put your credit card online, they'd look at you like, what? No chance, it's not safe, it'll get stolen. So I dealt with so many issues in India. I dealt with other issues too. Okay, I dealt with other issues that I speak about openly, but getting robbed, getting taken care of, bamboozled. I was young, I didn't understand. So I left India. I came back to India after years. Well, I used to go every year because I eventually married, I was dating a girl there, and so I eventually married her. But then COVID happened. I didn't go back to India for a few years. I don't know what happened during COVID time. India just went and just went online.
Yeah.
I mean, what would have taken 10 years, just 10, it felt like 10 weeks. And India was like, we're online now. So in January, when I went this year, I spoke at an event. I was in awe. I have never been so speechless watching and thinking, how did I miss this? How did I miss this massive evolution? It is not saturated. It's not close to saturated. It's just beginning. Heck, I'm moving most of my focus to India now. You think I would do that if I felt the market is saturated already? There are so many, listen, the biggest thing right now happening is that the educational systems are being challenged. Okay, our traditional education systems are no longer effective. They're serving an old market, which isn't today. And it is being challenged by concept of peer-to-peer education. That is the future. So the future of what you do as a coach, a course creator, that's the future. People are going to be learning from that. The other thing is, Mitesh, you know, if you're a coach, what does it take? 5, 6, 7, maybe 10 clients max?
Yeah.
For you to replace the income you would make working night and day at a company?
Actually.
So you're telling me that the market is so saturated that you can't find 10 people who you can add value to their life, who could pay you a little bit of money, so that at least you have freedom. If nothing else, okay, fine. You don't build a business that's crores and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But at least you can have your life back. At least you can have freedom. At least you can do what you love and enjoy and spend time with your family while making more money. You don't need to break records for that. You need 10 customers for that. So no, there's a huge opportunity in India right now. It's massive. It's just being scratched. The opportunity, I did a research recently. In India, there have been 107 unicorn companies. Now that's very impressive. That's a company worth $1 billion or more. But guys, compared to the US, it's nothing. It's still peanuts. So there's still much more room for big companies to be born. There's 90,000 startups in India. It's an impressive number, but I thought it was small. There's also 1.5 billion people in India. So I still think there's so much opportunity, so much.
How many of you are ready to cash on that opportunity? Type in I in the chat window if you're ready to cash on that opportunity. So we're going to open up questions for some of you people. We'll not take too many questions because I know I'm a little overboard on next time here based on his schedule, but I'm going to allow only the platinum members to ask questions. All platinum members, rename yourself as platinum and then your name and raise your virtual Zoom hand if you want to ask a few questions to Anik personally. And we'll see what questions you have. But before that, how many of you would love to receive a gift directly from Anik right now? In fact, we have two things. One, I'll let him speak about, and this one I'll tell you about. But how many of you are ready to receive a gift? Type in gift in the chat window right now. Okay, so here's something very, very special. When somehow it was a great opportunity for me through a good friend called Money, and we kind of connected with Anik, and it was truly good fortune how we connected. And what we are learning in the last one month or so with Anik is just mind-blowing. I mean, I'm getting access to people, I'm getting access to technology, which I never thought was possible before. I thought about it, but now it's getting reality. Like it's really manifesting into reality. So I asked Anik, I said, can we do something like this in India? And wow, good news is he was actually launching something in India. And he said, why not launch it with our YouTube live today for the first time? So the gift for all of you is he's inviting us, specific limited people only right now, for a very special event where he's going to talk about how do you really scale your business to learn what he knows. How many of you would love that? Type in I in the chat window. Now, there's a good news and there's a bad news. Now, here is the good news first. The good news is it is open to registration now. So let me show you the link right now in the chat window. And don't worry, Indu will share the link with all of you right now. The good news is it's open to registration right now for the first time in India. The link is miteshkhatri.com/Anik. It's a simple link to remember. Those of you who are watching me on YouTube live right now, take a photograph, click on this link, register. Here is the bad news. 25 seats only. Why only 25 seats? Because there's a minimum criteria because of the kind of value he adds and the time he has. Is going to work with people who have a minimum criteria of having 2 crores of yearly business right now. So there are many business coaches who are listening to us right now, online coaches, digital marketing and entrepreneurs right now who are listening to us. If you fall into that criteria of more than 2 crores a year or minimum 2 crores a year, sign up that form. And there are many people who are going to sign up. But when you sign up this form, there's going to be a criteria that's going to be fulfilled. And if you fit into that criteria, you'll be part of those 25 people. Maybe you can explain to us a little bit about what's this gift and why are we calling it a gift? There's really no price for this. Like you're not charging anything for this, Anik?
No, no charge. So I want to address two things. First of all, the two crores minimum per year of turnover is important. It's required. Now, everyone else who's thinking, well, what about me? I don't do 2 crores a year. I'm coming. Don't worry. We have additional resources coming for you within the month. And I'd love to talk about that next project that we're doing in a minute. But this particular project, this particular event we're doing, it's called Expert Roundtable. It's going to happen in Indian time zone during the day. I think it's 3 p.m. IST down to about 8 p.m. IST. So it is a 5-hour virtual event. You take it from your home or office. There's no cost, and it's 25 people only because I don't want this to be a seminar. Listen, if you're already doing 2 crores or more, you don't need me to lecture you. You need to connect, create connections. You need to share with one another. We're going to do panels. We're going to do rapid solution sessions. And so during this time, my goal is to connect also. So now as I'm coming into the India market to teach and to share my knowledge, I don't want to come in and not have any connection to the market. I'm already living here in the US as it is, but I want to know. So for me, this is I'm doing it the hard way. I want to do one event at a time, connect with everybody. When it's 25 people in the room, I know that I can actually get an opportunity to really get to know each person and to support them. And so this event is, if you are a coach, if you sell courses, or if you own an agency, you have to be one of the 3. So you have to be in the expert market. And if you're doing 2 crores a year or more already in revenue, then I want to show you how to scale that. I have multiple presentations and exercises where I'm going to reveal to you things that in India just haven't even been taught because they don't exist yet. I always jokingly say, I feel like I'm coming in from the future, right? Because everything that happens in the US and all, it's usually in the technology and digital world, it happens in India usually 5 to 10 years later. Now that time is being compressed now, by the way. If it's happening here, usually it's 2-3 years later in India. So I'm going to bring you marketing strategies, tools, automation, technology that we're using today, strategies for influence, strategies for selling, strategies for traffic, strategies for conversion, the exact funnels that I use to convert, that I'm using today to scale my business. I'm going to bring those to you during this free event. And there is no catch. There's no VIP seats. You're not going to get an upsell after you save your seat for the event. It's just come join the event. But yes, it's limited to those who have 2 crores or more of revenue per year. Now, if you'll allow, Mitesh, I just want to give the rest of everybody who's not quite there yet some hope to explain to them what I'm doing next.
So before you say that, how many of you would love to receive value and gift from him, even though you're not in that bracket of 2 crores a year right now, but you'd still love to learn from Anik? Everyone unmute if you really want to. Let's do it in our IMK style. Everyone unmute and say, love it. Come on.
Love
One,
it.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
Go for it. So we've got some energy for you, Anik. Now we can share with people what's the gift for that.
Okay, so what happened when I came in January is I was in absolute awe. I felt like the world had changed. I kind of felt like I went into a coma for a few years and woke up into a completely different country. And the way in India right now, the spirit of India, right, is all about opportunity. It's all about building. It's all about creating. It's all about what are we doing? That hope, that optimism, that enterprising feeling I had never experienced in India before personally. And honestly, in the Western worlds, it's starting to die down. In the Western worlds, it's not about creation anymore. There's a lot, you see it, you hear about it on the news, I know you know. So for us entrepreneurs, that's no fun. We like to create, we like to be in vibrant communities. So I remember for at least a day or two, just being quiet in India, thinking now, if my wife and my daughter had been with me in that moment in India, I would have guaranteed to extend that trip by a month or two. I'm guaranteeing I would have remained in India for a month or two, just to experience the market more and learn more. But I came out of it knowing, you know what? They're ready. What I was looking for 12, 13, 14 years ago has happened in India today. And so I know that there are so many things I have learned about marketing, copywriting, conversion, traffic, building a brand, coaches, courses. I was like, if I can teach this, it could really touch a lot of lives, help a lot of people. So I decided I would think about it. in mid-Jan, I was like, okay, let's think about maybe by end of year, by next year, I'll start doing some teaching and training in India. And then what I learned, I did some podcasts. I had a few people come do podcasts with me in January. And even when I'm on stage, they're like, everyone from the audience is yelling, Hindi mein bolo, and I'm like, I know Hindi. I've known it since I was a kid, but I've never done a talk in Hindi. I've never done a presentation in Hindi. I was so anxious, but finally I remember I'm on stage and I can tell, I'm not connecting with everyone in this audience. Like I'm connecting, but not at the level that I'm used to. So I made some joke, and in the joke I ended up saying something about kacha banyan. That's all I said, and the whole audience just erupted in laughter. And I thought, okay, I have to understand this English.
The Desi language when you speak kacha banyan there.
Yeah, like I was like, okay, I know it, right? Like I lived in Mumbai for a long time. I can be full blown tapori bhai if I want to. Like I know how to do it, but more in like with my friends, right? And not like professionally. So then the next day I had a podcast interview, and the person walks in and says, "Oh, sir, this podcast is Hindi only. Like all our listeners are Hindi." I thought, so I had no choice. I'm faced with a challenge. He's already in my room. He's there. He's set up already. The camera lights are on. I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I promised myself after that, I said, okay, I'll think about this. But then I came back and it's been haunting me. I was like, no. So all of a sudden I made a decision. So May 29th, which is coming up in just a few weeks, we're officially going to start building our community in India for those who want to learn digital marketing from me. I have nothing to sell. I will not be selling anything for probably months and months. And so I decided, my birthday is on June 14th. So that will be my 40th birthday. I turned 40 on June 14th. And so I decided my gift to myself is going to be that on June 14th, I will launch my community officially. So the different social media platforms. And I want to launch to 40,000 people in India. So between May 29th to June 14th, my mission is to collect 40,000 people. So the team is working to put that together. And I think my launch into India in and of itself will be a teaching and training on how to do digital marketing. I'm going to use some of my best knowledge, my best skills. So that is going to be me having a YouTube channel, Instagram channel, Facebook group, Telegram group, email list, WhatsApp newsletter. I mean, all of this will be free. And all of this is going to go out to the India market only. It'll be for India market only. And let's see when I actually launch something. But the thing that's taken off for me, I said this as a joke on a webinar. We had 1,500 people on. I was doing a webinar for Saurabh. And people kept asking questions. They kept saying, how do I do this? How do I make this? How do I do this? And I got frustrated, Mitesh. And on the webinar, I just said, Are yaar, kuch karo. That's all I said. I said, just kuch karo. Like, stop asking all these. Just do something, man. Go out and move. And that turned into a whole thing. People started hashtagging it everywhere. And I remember when I went on stage, the audience started chanting, kuch karo, kuch karo, kuch karo.
Wow.
So I was like, wow, this is really turning into a thing. So I actually sitting in the audience, okay, so I spoke, then I came off. I'm listening, and the next speaker goes on. He speaks about kuch karo. All the speakers start saying kuch karo, kuch karo. So I'm sitting there, and I go to GoDaddy.com, and I buy the domain. It was like $5,000, okay? It was someone already owned it. I was like, no, this is my brand in India. This is it. This is Kuch Karo. I'm going to buy this. So we'll be launching under that brand, Kuch Karo. So we'll have, we'll do some fun stuff. But for the next few months, I really want to serve the market. I want to have a good time. I want to get to know the market. I want to get to know everybody. So if you don't make 2 crores a year in revenue, you have a lot of resources coming from me in the next few weeks. Mitesh will let you know. Thankfully, he's offered to let you know about that when that happens. But if you do 2 crores or more, then please join us for the expert roundtable.
So those of you who want to know when is that coming, subscribe to the channel. Make sure that you hit the bell icon so that we send you that notification. Those of you who are on YouTube, people who are on Zoom with me, you don't worry. You'll be getting a personal email from me and Anik telling you exactly when it's happening. And as you know, it's already 14th of June in advance. Let's say happy birthday to him. By the way, Anik, we're in the law of attraction world. So we do everything in advance. Like we celebrate in advance, we wish in advance. So congratulations from us.
Let's celebrate the 40,000 goal being met on June 14th already.
Absolutely. 40,000 is so simple for all of us with Imran, me and Indu, and we are all together with you. Absolutely. Everyone, let's type in and unmute yourself and say congratulations. 40,000 done. Let's go.
Congratulations.
Congratulations for 40,000.
40K.
40,000 man.
Congratulations for
Oh, I love that.
Congratulations, 40,000 done. We'll make sure it happens. We're with you for that. Welcome to India. And before we go, Anik, one more thing. This is really crazy. You said something that caught my attention right now. Of course, we're going to do the 25 people special event for people who are making more than 2 crores a year. But the point is, right now when you said you're going to invite the rest of the people on 14th of June to learn something, you said something crazy. You said for a few months, you're not going to sell anything. You're just going to add value. Can you speak a little on that? Because anybody who usually comes to India to launch, they always come with a webinar. I said the first bit, bam, here's the offer. Start paying $5, $100, $20, $1,000. And you're saying you're going to start with something where you don't want people to pay anything for a few months. Like,
Yeah.
Can you explain that?
I can. As a different perspective, Mitesh, मैं बेच के थक गया हूँ. I just like helping people now. बहुत कमा लिया. I have a lot of money. I'm being honest. I'm good. I'm good. I could just retire tomorrow, walk away. My life is now truly, and I think people say this. Well, we hear this all the time. Oh, I'm about influence. I want impact. I want to create impact. I want to change the world. I genuinely really mean it. Like I really do. For me now, it's become a numbers game. The numbers don't include dollars. They include people. How many people are we reaching? How many people am I touching? I'm hoping, that this interview today, I'm praying that there's one person listening between YouTube and Zoom and everywhere or the replay of this, someone's listening that says, something I said just impacts your life, changes your life, and you go on to do big things. Every day I'm meeting people that tell me something I said 16 years ago has impacted them. So I want to come to India and I just want to deliver value. I think the best way to launch any business, listen, if we're willing to go to university and college for 3-4 years to get a degree only to get a simple little job, can I not come to India and deliver value for 3-4 months before I officially monetize? Can I not take that time to learn the market? Can I not take that time to be patient, to take a breath, to understand what it is the Indian market really needs? I don't know yet. I still don't know, Mitesh. Where is my unique contribution to the Indian market? All right, what problem specifically in the Indian market am I solving? I don't know yet. I know there's something there, and I know I can help, and I know I want to, and I want to try, right? And it's a part of my heart. Listen, I always jokingly say, my body is in US, but my heart is in India. It has been like that for a long time. And so I want to just try. I want to help. And I don't want the pressure of revenue, numbers, funnels, expenses, da. I'm going to be super ecstatic at just the number of people that we're impacting. And here's the funny thing about impact and helping people. If you do enough of it, guess what happens? The money comes pouring in.
Absolutely.
So I'm just going to put that first. Let's see how that goes. And at some point, I am confident the Indian market itself will tell me, please, this is what we need and this is what we're willing to spend money on. And then I'll simply deliver that.
Amazing. I want to tell you, and I'm addressing the community here right now. How many of you know I'm very careful who I bring to you? And one of the values that I constantly focus on, Imran sir, Indu, we always focus on this one value. And instead of me saying it, let's see if you can remember it. And I'm going to unmute all of you and tell me, we add how much? Unmute and give me that statement and tell me in the chat window one more time. Come on.
10x value.
value.
10x
value.
time value.
As you know, we always talk about adding 10x value first and then expecting anything else in return. And one of the things, Anik, when I talk to our community and when we are teaching them how to sell in webinars and stuff, we always say, give a lot first and then maybe ask in the end. And then people won't hesitate giving back to you. So thank you for demonstrating that. It truly speaks to my values. So I'm truly honored, privileged to be associated with you, to learn from you, to be calling you as a friend. Thank you so much for that honor. And before I leave, I want to bring in Indu and Imran online so that we can say thank you to you properly. I don't know if Imran is here. I think he's left for the day.
Imran
Indu's
has
here.
left for the day. Sorry, Anik, he is hosting a wedding, so he
Yes,
had to leave.
Absolutely.
So Indu's here. Indu, you want to say anything to Anik? Thank you. I mean, this is really special for us. You know that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anik. Thank you for taking out time. And it is always pleasure listening to you. You're so energetic. Other than the words, I really love your energy and it is contagious. It stays with me for a really long time. So thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
No, thank you to the both of you for having me. Seriously, thank you.
Thank you, Anik. Thank you. I want to request Indu. Indu, you want to share with people? I know I'm putting you on the spot as usual. Do you remember, like, we met Anik live just once, and then we made the decision of joining his mastermind, which is like a crazy, crazy big amount.
Yeah.
But now I see it's not a big amount, by the way. It's very small for us now because of what we've seen the value. But can you share with people? I'm not even telling you what it is. Do you remember that one thing he said, because of which we said, let's do it?
Yeah, I think we have not shared this with Anik also. So
I don't
Anik,
think so.
in I think in your call or in the recording which you had
Video.
shared,
The video that we had.
you said one thing which stayed with me, and you said that in this whatever amount I have paid you, you said, will you get one thing in 1 year which will give you that value what you paid me? If you get that one thing, after that the entire mastermind is free for you. And that just stayed with me. And I told Mitesh, एक चीज तो मिल ही जाएगी यार, साल भर काम करेंगे तो.
Yeah.
So I really, one, it was a good selling line, but second, it stayed with me. It was very, very powerful, I thought. And that was my decision-making line also, Anik. My decision was made on that line only.
Can I speak about that, Indu? Because there's something that I want to talk about, because I've noticed this in India, right? So I don't want to, no one get offended, okay? Remember, I'm coming from the heart. But in India, we have a mentality that's grown through time that I call it full vasuli, right? So when we get something, uska full vasuli. Like I'll be in line at Subway and I'll watch the person in front of me. They'll be like, sub dalo. I'm like, sub, like the sub is like falling apart. It's this big. Like, sub dalo, ek cheez dalo, full vasuli, because it's free now. I want it in my sub. And I'm thinking, does he even like that? Do you even like, tomato? You even like tomatoes, or you're just putting it in there because it's full vasuli? And so my perspective in life has been a bit different. If I buy something, I'm not so worried about, can I use everything it gives me? I'm just, can even one thing it gives me make it worth it,
Exactly.
right? If I'm traveling to Rome to visit Italy, am I gonna not go because I'm thinking, well, sheesh, in 5-6 days, I can't see every square inch of Rome, so not worth it. No, I'm gonna go pick my top favorite places, go see those, enjoy my trip and come back. And I think that's one mentality. I've spoken to a few other people in India now about joining the mastermind. And I've noticed this trend where people will say, well, I can't use this, and this. I won't get the full value. And I'm thinking, who cares? Who cares? If you have one thing you get can impact your life, you're done. Why are you so worried about the other things? And that's how I've approached my life. And I think it's a mindset that has really helped me scale, honestly.
Yeah. And I want to tell everyone that one thing I have already got from Anik, by the way.
Or actually, we got two. But it's the very first meeting.
First meeting itself, we got that one thing, and we have already, in Anik's language, we have already done the vasuli. So everything else from now is a bonus.
Okay.
That's awesome. I love it.
So I want to tell everyone. So one of the things that convinced us to be with Anik is, of course, this one thing that I will share with all of you. And the second thing is the values. Like when I met Anik for the first time in a live call, one thing I connected with you, Anik, was your humility and your values of, like, you really want to add value. You really want to add value. There's nothing wrong with making money. I love making money. I love people who want to make money. But I like people who keep money secondary and people first. And you have those values, and that really connected to us. And I think every single person who's listening to you right now will connect with you on that, because that's the family we built here together. So thank you again for being who you are. We look forward to meeting you soon live in India. And I won't say we hope to see you with 40,000 people. That's a done. That's like the task. That's congratulations already. Right.
Yeah.
Anything you want to say?
Thank you so much. No, nothing. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for being here. We've had hundreds of people listening. You've given me your time. I know it's late in India, and I appreciate it. And if there's anything I can do for anyone, if it's possible, I'll do it. I appreciate you guys having me on as well. And let's keep rocking, and let's keep fighting for our dreams. Let's keep making it happen.
Done. So before you go, in our own style again, everyone unmute, say thank you. We love you, Anik. Let's go one more time.
Thank you. Love you, Anik. Love you, Anik.
Love you, love you,
Anik.
love you.
We love you, Anik.
Love you,
We love
Anik.
you, Anik. You are a
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
They'll go on and on. I'm sorry, putting them on mute. But thank you very much, everyone, for learning. I love all of you for learning together, for keeping that vibrations true. And thank you, Anik, for giving us these feelings, these vibrations, because the best thing that I took away from you is your presence. And that energy is going to help all of us a lot. So thank you for giving us the time. I know that not necessarily every person who's sitting and listening to you right now is your customer or your audience, but in spite of that, you're here just to add value. And you have no idea how much that means to us. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. So thank you, everyone. I will see you soon at 9 p.m. for DMP one more time. Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you very much. Bye, Anik, again. Take care.